Hey, everybody, welcome to another edition of ATL Prime Sports. Todd Corder here in the ATL, along with my producer Wayne in Memphis, Tennessee. You can get a hold of us, all of us, on Twitter at ATL Prime Sports, at myself at Corder Todd, at Wayne at RWY Jr. Wayne, how are you this evening?
I'm doing pretty good. Texas is playing Minnesota right now, and they're it's early in the game, so anything can happen.
Anything can definitely happen in sports. I am a big believer of that. The 1980 U.S. Olympic hockey team upsetting Russia in the finals before going on to the semifinals before going on and winning the gold medal, the Miracle on Ice in 1980. That'll teach you that anything is possible. We have a special ATL Prime Sports NFL Draft 2021 show tonight. We're going to focus in on the quarterbacks that were drafted in the first and third rounds. There were 8 of them, which is a record. And we have David Walker, who analyzes quarterbacks for the Rebel Walk, which is an excellent source for Ole Miss Rebel sports. David, in 1973, at the tender age of 17, went to Texas A&M and became the youngest ever college quarterback. You can reach David on Twitter at David Walker QB. David, how are you this evening? And welcome to the show, sir.
Oh, I'm doing great. Thank you. And thank you for having me. Been a really good day and a good weekend. And, of course, really enjoyed the draft. And when you have as many quarterbacks taken as we did early, it makes it even more interesting and just a lot of fun. I remember back when I was playing back in 1974, there wasn't a quarterback taken until the first pick of the third round. That was Danny White for the Dallas Cowboys. So to see so many quarterbacks picked so quickly, that was definitely, particularly 5, I believe, in the first round. That was fun. That was good stuff.
No doubt about it. I remember that Danny White, he had the tough task of following Roger Staubach for America's teams. Like just said it earlier, there were 8 quarterbacks taken in the first 3 rounds of the 2021 draft, the most in draft history. And David, I'm really glad that you're here with us to analyze these quarterbacks and their potential in the NFL draft. David, let's start off with the first one from Cartersville, Georgia. There are actually 3 quarterbacks that were born in Georgia for this draft. One is Trevor Lawrence. He was drafted number 1 out of Jacksonville. The other one was number 11 overall, Justin Fields, out of Ohio State, the Chicago Bears. Lawrence is from Cartersville. Justin Fields is from Kennesaw. And the last one is David Mills, who was drafted 67th overall in the 3rd round. He's out of Duluth, Georgia. These are all Metro Atlanta quarterbacks. And he went to the Texans, and he played his college ball at Stanford. Let's go ahead and go right to it. Let's go to the best one and work our way down. Trevor Lawrence, what can we say about this kid, David? I think he's a star in the making. It may take a few years, but this guy reminds me of a lot of Peyton Manning, but he can really move around.
Yeah, I think that's the one difference between he and Peyton is the mobility. He's just unbelievable past the line of scrimmage. He can go. And, that's in the NFL, that's something that's becoming more in vogue. Particularly with the Kyler Murrays and Baker Mayfields and the guys who can really motor. And, I think Trevor may have won. Of course, he's got a tremendous background, winning the national championship as a true freshman. That's only happened a couple of times in history. And just showed a lot of leadership whenever he took over the job that freshman year. Swinney made a heck of a move, that year, but he knew he had to make it to win the championship, and it certainly worked out. And I think the other thing is, Trevor's 6'6", 220 pounds, kind of maybe a little light for 6'6", but of all the quarterbacks drafted, other than Kyle Trask, he had a good 3 inches on everybody else, and 6 inches on Ian Book. So he's a tall drink of water back in that pocket who can see the field really well. And, it was very consistent throughout all 3 years. I look at the ESPN QBR total ratings every week. And, he was always in the top 5, 6, 7. I think he finished 2020 as number 7 in terms of QBR. And he's been higher, but he's been totally consistent. And, of course, he's a winner. So, you put all that down on one sheet of paper, and you got a new coach coming into Jacksonville who knows the offensive game very well. You could see some pretty quick success there. I know that's what they're hoping for.
Well, it's the reason Urban Meyer switched over to the NFL is because of Trevor Lawrence. When you analyze Trevor, what makes him so special?
Well, he can throw any pass. I mean, one of the things I think that every college quarterback is probably going to have to adjust to when it gets to the NFL is primarily going under center. And, I think that's the kid from North Dakota State who was picked number 3. They run an offense at North Dakota State where you can see the quarterback under center. As close to an NFL offense as you're probably going to find these days in college football. And I think Trevor, we're going to have to see how he can do on the 7-step drop and the 9-step drop, on the bootlegs and on the play action passes from under center, because that's the adjustment all these quarterbacks are going to have to make once they hit the NFL. And that's what makes it a little bit tougher to really gauge what a quarterback's going to be able to do when he gets there. It's a different game. It's a different strategy. It's a different, train of thought.
What about Zach Wilson, the junior that went to the Jets, second overall out of BYU? What's your analysis of him?
There was a time when BYU was about the only football team playing, and I guarantee you, man, that guy just jumped out at you. Zach Wilson. I mean, before this year, I'd never really heard that much about him. And I follow football. I mean, I've been around football since 1973. So I've had almost 5 decades of it. And I saw this kid, and I just said, man, somebody's got to take a look at him. I thought BYU overall just had an, exceptional football team. It was tough that it came about in this year, but they were exceptional. And I thought he did a heck of a job every time out. And again, he was one of those top QBR guys. I think he finished 4th in the nation overall for the season. And, with the New York Jets, I mean, he may be going to the wrong place or he may be going to the right place. But, I saw that they got some pretty good receivers and tight ends from Ole Miss, in fact, to join him there in New York. So he's going to have some talent around him. Probably much better talent than he ever saw at BYU. He can get the ball to you, and he can do a lot of other things as well. But I like him. I've liked him since the season started, and really happy for him. He went so early.
David, in 1973, like we said at the beginning of the podcast, you were 17 years old, and you were the youngest quarterback to ever, to go ahead and play college football, and you went to Texas A&M. This Zach Wilson kid, this junior, is only 20. If you were going to give him some advice, what would it be, especially going to a city like New York?
Well, I'll tell you what, when I was growing up, the guy that I admired the most and my hero probably taught me more about quarterbacking just from an observation standpoint than anybody was Joe Willie Namath.
Yep,
and, Joe Willie grew up in Pennsylvania, and he went down to Alabama and played for Bear Bryant. Then when he got to New York, I mean, sure, it was the late 60s and so forth, but New York was still New York. And I'm sure it's a different place now. There's no doubt it is a different place now. but you still had, you got Broadway, you got the bright lights, you got the media, you have all that stuff going on. And plus, you got a team that hadn't won since Joe Namath was there. Won it all anyway. So,
right.
I'm sure Joe Willis, with everybody else, man, you're just hoping like heck that this is the guy, and that you have the framework in place to start making a move in that AFC East, because you got some really good, strong teams that annually that you've got to go up against it. And like I said, they haven't won it all since that 1968 season. But if you have any advice for him at all, is to keep your head down. Concentrate on what you're there for. Don't get caught in the show. Don't get caught outside. Don't get caught in the clubs. Don't be doing any of that stuff.
It's all very tempting there.
Playing football, and it'll all come back to you after you're done.
That's right. It's all very tempting. Speak of another young player. Let's analyze. Well, let's have you analyze Trey Lance, the redshirt sophomore, went to the 49ers, the third pick overall in the draft out of North Dakota State, who didn't even play this college football season. I think he played one game, if I'm not mistaken. So he is he played one game, excuse me. He is really inexperienced, and I don't know if you had any chance to take a look at any tape on him or look at him at all, because he is a physical specimen. He can move. He's got a great arm. He can make all the throws. I think basically it's just him stepping in. I expect Jimmy Garoppolo to start for the 49ers this fall, and maybe Trey Lance will take over in a year or so if Garoppolo falters.
I think you're right. I mean, I can't even believe that Jimmy G is in this position that he's in. It's kind of like Kaepernick. Kaepernick came into San Francisco and did a heck of a job and got them to the Super Bowl, and then just kind of, digressed. And it looks like Jimmy G may be in that same boat. And, coaches and general managers don't have the time to wait, to find out if they made a mistake or not. They've got to be building from underneath. And I think, watching this kid play for North Dakota State, the little bit that I did, and the only time he had a chance to really watch him was in the FCS playoffs of 2019.
Right.
And he was amazing. I mean, tremendous athlete. And, if you want to go with, a kid who really only played 1 year of college, I mean, that's the guy to go with. And there's no doubt that, they think that they made the right decision in San Francisco. I mean, he could be really big, really fast. And, that's what's so much fun about it. If Jimmy G can't get it done early, he's going to get yanked, and this kid's going to be going in his place. And it's such a tremendous athlete. Again, one of those dual threat guys who can, throw the heck out of it, beat you on the ground running. And, that seems to be the key to winning right now in the NFL.
Well, speaking of key, I was going to say, you mentioned Tom Brady, and we'll get to someone here who down the line has been compared to Tom Brady. But it just seems like now when we talk about Justin Fields, who went 11th overall to the Bears, who traded up to get him out of Ohio State, who's from Kennesaw, Georgia. They traded up to get him. He's a dual threat quarterback, and that seems to be the direction they're going. And when I watched Justin Fields, how tough he was in the semifinal against Trevor Lawrence and Clemson, and they beat Clemson pretty good, did Ohio State. I think that right there opened a lot of people's eyes how good Justin Fields is and how he can play with pain.
Yeah, I think you have to look at the toughness quotient on a lot of these players. Some of them have fought through injuries, and Justin is certainly one who did that. Several. I played with hairline fractured ribs my senior year in college, and I'm telling you, they're tough, man. We didn't have the flak jackets or the protection that players have now, but it's still possible to get hurt out there on the football field. And I thought Justin Fields showed a lot of strength, a lot of character. and he's been exceptional every year that he's been Ohio State. He had a tremendous QBR this year. He was number 2 behind Mac Jones. He was in the top 5 the last couple of years. He's just been a fantastic quarterback. He's one throw away from beating Clemson 2 years ago to go to the national championship. And when he had a receiver zig when he thought he was going to zag, remember that in the end zone on that final possession? And I'm just not sure if Georgia made the right call to begin with. When they had him on the bench, I mean, the guy was a player, and I think he's proven that he was the best player at Georgia at the time. And fortunately,
that's interesting you mentioned that, because we all know that the other quarterback, that played at Georgia at the time. He's with the Buffalo Bills today, and why am I got the name on it? I can't remember his name right now. It's off the tip of my tongue, but I'm sure.
Well, I guess it was Fromm, right? Was it Fromm?
What's that?
Was it Fromm?
Yeah, Jed.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What did you say?
Yeah, I thought it might be Fromm.
Jake Fromm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jake Fromm. That's who it was. I sat there. If JJ would have been on tonight, he would have had it quicker than I would have. Sometimes my brain goes 100 miles an hour, and it was Jake Fromm, and I forgot it. And Wayne's laughing because it is kind of funny, but yeah, I mean, Jake Fromm beat Justin Fields out, and then Justin, he went to the Bills, and here Justin Fields comes along, transfers to go Ohio State. And yeah, a lot of people think Georgia made the wrong move, but Jake Fromm got Georgia to the national championship game and lost to Alabama, of course.
Yeah. I mean, it's a tough situation, and that's why the NCAA and why I've said, for almost 50 years that this transfer rule that the NCAA had was punitive towards players, making them sit out a year. Well, if you sit out a year, you're actually sitting out up to 21 months out of competition, because you leave, say, in December of one year, you cannot play until September 2 years later. So, I mean, that's a long, long time to have to sit out. So if you're at Justin Fields and you're going to Ohio State and you got to sit out a year, man, that takes all the fun away, doesn't it? I mean, you want to know if you're going to go in for another job, you want to know you got the job. You don't want to have to wait 2 years to find out whether you got the job. And I'm glad to see the NCAA has finally straightened that out, offering that 1 year exemption, that 1 year freebie that everybody gets now, even if you play football or basketball. That's going to help a lot of players. And it certainly helped Justin Fields. There's no doubt about it. I think Justin was the only transfer who was drafted this year among the quarterbacks. Everybody else came out of the school that they originally went to.
I believe you're correct. Justin Fields, to me, I don't know if you agree with this or not, but he just seemed to get better and better with his progressions the more and more he played.
And I really think that they do a good job there at Ohio State with their their head coach was a former QB and just a tremendous guy and tremendous coach as well. They've obviously done a good job in their selection process at Ohio State. Ohio State had as many players drafted this year as Alabama did. They both had 10 players drafted. So Ohio State's doing a lot of good things there. We'll see where they go from here. But, they're bringing the top quality players in. And it was just a godsend that they got Justin Fields in when they did.
The next three quarterbacks.
It was Joey Burrow who opened the door for Justin Fields, I guess, wasn't it? I mean, or did Justin go there a year before Joey left? But anyway, there's been some good quarterbacks running in and out of Ohio State. There's no doubt about it. Joey Burrow, amazing.
Joey Burrow went to play at LSU, right?
Amazing. He had an amazing 2 years at LSU, and was no better than third team when he was at Ohio State. So, A lot of talent running through that school. There's no doubt about it. But LSU,
Yeah, I agree. You know,
you know,
I agree. And speaking of talent, the next three quarterbacks we're going to talk about all played in the SEC at Alabama, Florida, and Texas A&M, respectively. And the first one is Mac Jones, who, besides Trevor Lawrence, is my favorite quarterback in this draft. I guess there is the Tom Brady comparison. The redshirt junior, 15th overall, went to all teams who didn't have to, of all the teams that didn't have to trade up to get him. He goes to Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots. And I think this is a home run pick. I think this is your best value other than getting Trevor Lawrence at 1. I think this is your best value of all the quarterbacks. This guy was incredible this season. He only threw a couple interceptions. He rarely made any mistakes. His reads were great. And what's the strength for you when you watch Mac Jones play, besides all that great talent he had around him? But it was the way that he led the talent to me that made him so good.
Yeah, you remember last year whenever Tua got hurt and Mac had to go in the game and didn't play particularly well in his first game. But then they got in the bowl game, and he was just outstanding. And right then, I said, Mac Jones is a quarterback, man. That guy can play. You know, here's a guy who just, you know, he waited his turn. You know, he kept working hard, kept learning, waited his turn. You know, they had some pretty good quarterbacks at Alabama. Jalen Hurts and Tua and then Mac Jones. I mean, all in that QB room. And so whenever this season started, after I'd seen him play in the bowl game the year before, I said, well, man, this guy's got it. I mean, this guy, and look who he's throwing the ball to. Look who he's handing the ball off to. Look at his offensive line. You know, look who he plays for. You know, and I think Belichick, when he says, you know, and I may be totally wrong on this, but I think if he says, I want Mac Jones, don't anybody else mess with him, I think they all listen. Okay, coach. You got Mac Jones. He's coming to New England. And I think that may be how he, you know, went where he did, because, you know, otherwise he is the all-time leader in QBR. And QBR's been around since, I want to say, 2004 or 5. So that metric's been around for 15, 16 years. And Mac Jones is the number one guy of all time, you know, in terms of the QBR era. So, you know, you got to say Mac Jones is like you know, other than, you know, the Clemson kid, you got to say Mac Jones is probably number one coming out of this year's draft.
But, you know, David, he's different than all the other quarterbacks. He doesn't have the mobility of Lawrence or Wilson or Lance or Fields. You know, he's a drop back passer. But like I said, they're comparing him a little bit to Brady. His reads are his strength, you know, getting the ball quickly out. And he'll really have to learn to get it out really quickly at the NFL level, because it's 1, 2, 3 and let it go.
Boom.
He's not going to have time like he did at Alabama.
Absolutely. Isn't that the truth? And, you know, he's going to have to get under center a little bit more, you know, and Nick does a really good job there, you know, of kind of spreading that out a little bit. They'll get under center some. They don't spend all their time in the shotgun. But, you know, I'm a former quarterback. I'm a wishbone. I was a throwing quarterback in high school, but I ran the wishbone in college. So I've seen both sides of it. And when I coached, I had my guys in the shotgun probably about 50% of the time. And that was in the late 80s before, you know, when nobody else was doing it. So, again, you know, you've got a guy who is used to getting under center, and he's used to the shotgun. And, you know, he just used to. And also he's used to having great talent at the receiver spot. So when he steps onto an NFL field, it's not going to be that much different for him. He's had the speed. He's had the talent. He's had the coaching and the ability. So, yeah, I look for great things. I think New England's going to be turning things around rather quickly.
We're going to find out. Let's go to the next one. The senior, Kyle Trask, who got drafted by Tampa Bay. Will this be the replacement for Tom Brady, or is Tom Brady's going to go ahead and play until he's 50 as he went to Florida? And, Kyle Trask and Florida came the closest to beating Alabama than anybody all season long. And, even though Trask had a miserable bowl game along with the rest of his offense, this kid's going to get a chance to sit and watch the greatest quarterback of all time. You can't get this tutelage anywhere else. And it's going to benefit Trask greatly.
Yeah, and I guarantee you they talked to Tom Brady before they did it, unlike Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, don't you think?
Oh, you're bringing up another Aaron. We could do another show on Aaron Rodgers here.
I guarantee you, Tom Brady was contacted before this draft and told him, "Listen, we're bringing Kyle Trask in, but no threat." He said, "Don't worry about it. You go right ahead." Yeah, Kyle Trask is, he's the second tallest quarterback in the draft. He's 6'5". Moves around better, than Mac Jones does, in my opinion. And he just had such great offensive weapons there at Florida. He's another one going to step on the Tampa Bay's football field, and he's going to feel pretty comfortable with the receivers that he has because, from what I heard, no other football team had ever had a tight end and a wide receiver taken in the first round like Florida did. So, you had a pretty good inkling right there that Kyle Trask wasn't going to be very far behind him. And, his parents are big Aggies. That's why his first name is Kyle. He's named after Kyle Field.
And, wow, I did not know that.
Yeah. They're both Aggies, and they were, of course, I'm sure wanting him to go to A&M, but he ended up at Florida and had a great career. Did wonderful things there. And I think Mullen's a heck of a quarterback coach. Gets the best out of them, prepares them very well for the next level. And he did have a poor bowl game, but again, he didn't have some of his best players there with him either. Or against LSU, that was some kind of football game, Florida and LSU this year. And but he's got all the numbers. He's in the top 5 in the QBR. He's played really well the last 2 years, very consistent. And he's, it's hard to call anybody a can't miss guy, but he's got the size, he's got the arm, and he can also run some too. So Tampa Bay, I'm sure, is very, very excited about Kyle Trask coming to their city.
Well, no doubt about it. All 22 starters are coming back for Tampa Bay. So, they got Kyle Trask, and of course they'll have a veteran draft. Trask will be the third string quarterback, but he'll have the opportunity of a lifetime to sit and learn from the greatest. Let's go to the next one here. Trask was, there wasn't a quarterback drafted after Mac Jones from 15th overall to Kyle Trask at 64. And then all of a sudden at 66, again out of the state of Texas, another senior, Kellen Mond, out of Texas A&M, went to the Vikings, and they already have Kirk Cousins there. So do you expect Mond to push Kirk Cousins out eventually? Because Cousins, I tell you what, I'd love every NFL player would love to have his agent. His agent should be Kirk Cousins MVP. I mean, I think Kirk Cousins is a very good quarterback out of Michigan State. He's done a really great job. He competed with RG3 in Washington, beat him out for the job after sitting initially. And he's parlayed this into a really good career and a great financial career in the NFL. And now he's got Kellen Mond coming along, so he's used to competition. But do you think Mond will push him? And where does Mond need to go in order to surpass him?
That's a really good question. I've always been a Kirk Cousins fan. I think he's, he's probably taking more heat than a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL.
I agree.
Some of it, I'm sure, deservedly so. Washington's not the easiest place in the world to play football. football. And Kellen Mond, he's a 4-year starter here. He this season he passed me for being the second winningest quarterback in A&M history. And
he did.
I left there the winningest quarterback, and then we had another quarterback who passed me about 20 years later. And then during that time, Kevin Murray, who was Kyler Murray's dad, tied my wins record. So we were tied for second there for several decades. And then Kellen Mond this year passed us, went into second place. I think he finished with 31 wins. And the all-time leader here has 34, and Kevin Murray and I, we were now third. But that's not bad after 50 years. And Kellen was also joined me and one other quarterback at A&M with over 400 carries. And he's played a lot of football. He's played a lot of games, and he played for two coaches who both had different styles. And I think Jimbo's probably done just a tremendous service, for Kellen in terms of getting him ready for the NFL. Jimbo is not the run, not the spread them out guy, that Kellen had his freshman year. And Kellen's done some improvement, but he's been pretty steady over the last 3 years. His QBR has been right in the mid-70s. He started the year off just horribly this year against Vanderbilt. And
where does he need to improve, may I ask? Where does he need to improve?
Well, I think what most people would tell you and what I would agree with is just the fact that Kellen misses open receivers too often. He's just needs to improve on his accuracy. And he'll make some great passes, and he'll get it in some very tight windows. But what most of us just can't quite understand is how you miss a wide open receiver in the flat or a curl pattern when there's no pressure. And I'd probably want to look at his PFF a little bit and see how he does compared to everybody else in a clean pocket. But I quite frankly was a little surprised. You're talking about all these quarterbacks who are being taken all have mid to high 80s in their QBR. And Kellen's a mid-70s guy for the last 3 years. His freshman year, he was a 50 in QBR. So as I say, he's improved, but yet he's leveled off. You go from sophomore year to senior year, he's made no improvement in QBR whatsoever. But he does have, he does have a lot of experience. And, that may be what he has going for him. And then he went to the Senior Bowl. And he won MVP of the Senior Bowl, and that turned a lot of heads. So, he's got the size. He's 6'3". He's got the arm. He's a really good runner. You don't carry the ball 400 times and not be able to run the football. And
that's right.
Good dual threat guy. And back when I was playing, we had a guy my senior year named Tommy Kramer, who was the number 1 draft choice of the Minnesota Vikings. And Tommy went up there and had a heck of a year. So I'm sure, Tommy's really excited about having another Texas quarterback, now playing for the Vikings. It was a little surprising to me that 2 Big Ten professional football teams both came down to Texas to get their quarterbacks. Indianapolis one, Minnesota the other. But
you brought up, you went way back in Vikings history bringing up that name. He followed if I'm not mistaken, he followed Fran Tarkenton, did Tommy Kramer.
He did. He was the number 1 draft choice, and, he threw the ball 60 times against us in 1976. We never did sack him, and he was just one heck of a quarterback out of Rice. And we won the game 57-34. It's the highest scoring game in Southwest Conference history at the time.
Wow.
And he was just a tremendous quarterback, no doubt about it. And
let's go to our last one. I'm sorry to interrupt you, David. We only got about 2 minutes left. Davis Mills, the 67th pick overall. He went right after Kellen Mond in the 3rd round. Went to the Texans out of Stanford, the redshirt junior out of Duluth, Georgia. Oh, my goodness, this kid may play just as soon as any of them with Deshawn Watson and his issues this year. Briefly tell us about him. We only got about 2 minutes max.
Well, again, Deshawn Watson was, he was a top 5 QBR guy in the first round draft choice out of Clemson and had the world by the tail. And, like you said, he's falling on hard times right now. And the Texans certainly needed a quarterback, and this kid out of Stanford fit the bill. Looks like he's going to be a good one. He was about the same in QBR, as Kellen was. Mid-70s guy, low 80s, I'm sorry. And, looks like he can play. Coming from a tremendous program, playing for a great coach out there at Stanford. And,
Shaw.
Of course, Coach Shaw. So, a lot of character, and, ready to learn. And, he's going to bring some good things up, I think, to the Texans. We're about 45 minutes from NRG Field here. And so, we get to go every now and then and watch them. So we're hoping for some good things, Of course, I'm a New Orleans Saints guy myself. And how about that Ian Book?
That's
how about
right.
that Ian
That's
Book
right.
choice for the New Orleans Saints? That was tremendous.
My producer here is probably steaming because he's not a Notre Dame guy. He's a Falcons guy, and he's a Matt Ryan guy. And, I think he was thinking, are they going to take the quarterbacks? And we were all thinking, no, they need to trade down. But they got the tight end out of Florida in Kyle Pitts. And, Wayne, I know you wanted to ask one question for David about the quarterback at Memphis, and then we'll let him go.
Well, the quarterback that was at Memphis, Brady White, I think one of the things that hurt him was he stayed in college for too long. He's almost 25 years old when he's in the draft, and I think that's why he went undrafted. Do you think it's like a kind of a balancing act? Do you stay in too long, or do you get out too soon?
Yeah, you got Matt Corral right here at Ole Miss. Matt Corral is one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the country, and the other 4 got drafted. And so you got to wonder, whether, was this a year for Matt to go in, or did he do the right thing by staying one more year at Ole Miss? And I think he did the right thing by staying one year at Ole Miss because he's light years ahead of everybody else in QBR, the returning quarterbacks coming back. So I don't know. Yeah, I think it can work to your advantage or disadvantage. And, it's pretty tough to pick the spots. It's like your boy, the tight end from Ole Miss, who did not get drafted. He's going to the Jets as a free agent. And I wish the NCAA had a rule in for their football players as they do for their basketball players that, if you still have eligibility left, you can come back to your college and play if you're not drafted, instead of signing a free agent contract or something like that. Go back to college, get another year. They do it for basketball players. Why don't we do it for football?
That's a great point. David, thanks so much. We've gone over a little bit tonight, but that's okay. I really appreciate you coming on. You can get a hold of David Walker on Twitter at David Walker QB. David analyzes quarterbacks for the Rebel Walk, which is an excellent source.
And also I have a book out. It's called "I'll Tell You When You're Good," which is something my high school coach used to tell us all the time. I think it's very interesting.
Okay.
It goes back to the 60s and 70s, and basically my career at A&M and also through high school. So it's a really good book for quarterbacks, really good book for coaches.
Say that again. Say where they can. Say the name of the book and where somebody can get it.
I'll Tell You When You're Good. You can get it on Amazon.com.
Amazon.com. I'll Tell You When You're Good. All right, everybody, you can get that book. I'll Tell You When You're Good at Amazon.com. Once again, David analyzes quarterbacks for the Rebel Walk, which is an excellent source for Ole Miss Rebel sports. David, thanks for coming on. You not only talked about the current quarterbacks tonight, but you gave a lot of great football history in the SEC, and you even brought up one of my favorite quarterbacks, Tommy Kramer, who followed Fran Tarkenton out of Minnesota. Thank you so much For Wayne in Memphis, for David in Texas, for myself in the Atlanta area, our next show is 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Blog Talk Radio. You can listen in two ways, 1-347-205-9631 or www.blogtalkradio.com. We'll be on live at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time this Friday. Have a great week, everybody.